Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to dive deep into a novel that, well, for a lot of people, it really defines an era. Haruki Murakami's classic Norwegian Wood.
Absolutely. A really poignant one.
Yeah, exactly. And our whole exploration today, it's drawing insights from a really interesting recent review of the book. It was originally published way back in 1987. Our mission really is to try and unearth some of those, nuggets of knowledge, the surprising bits that maybe go beyond just the plot summary, give you a fresh angle on it.
So great.
So, if you're familiar with Murakami, you'll know Norwegian Wood is centered on Toru Watanabe. He's a young university student, and he's kind of caught in this really complex emotional web.
Yeah, that triangle.
Right?
Yeah.
There's Naoko, who's dealing with some pretty significant mental health struggles.
A very fragile character.
And then there's Midori, who's completely different, really vibrant, optimistic, offers him another way almost.
A contrast for sure.
But what's really captivating, and the review really hammered this home, is how Toru's whole story plays out against this backdrop of Japan in the late 1960s. Just massive social and cultural shifts happening.
Yeah.
And we want to explore how that setting isn't just, wallpaper. It's almost like another character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the review makes a really strong point about that 1960s context being vital. It sort of acts as this subtle counterpoint to what Toru's going through inside.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. Japan was going through this huge transformation, post-war boom, right? And you had all these new things emerging music. Western rock and folk were huge. New fashion trends, big social movements, like all the student protests.
Yeah, I remember reading about those.
And the review pointed out how Murakami weaves in specific music from that time, like obviously the Beatles' Norwegian Wood.
The title track itself.
Yeah. It's not just background noise. It acts like this subtle emotional pulse. It reflects the character's own inner turmoil, but also this kind of bittersweet nostalgia.
Nostalgia for what, exactly?
Well, for a time that felt maybe both innocent and also, shadowed by loss. It's more than just a soundtrack. It really deepens the feeling of that bygone era.
That makes sense. The era itself kind of mirroring that search for meaning. But, okay, beyond the history, the review really focused on something maybe even more universal.
Oh, definitely.
It felt like the real core of Norwegian Wood is about human connection, how fragile it can be.
Precisely. At its heart, yeah, the book is exploring that universal search for meaning when everything feels uncertain.
Which feels very relevant still.
Absolutely. And if you look at how Murakami does it, through Toru's very personal story,
Right.
he gets into these massive themes, love, loss, identity, with this incredible, almost delicate precision.
Right.
The review noted something interesting, too, that even though this book isn't overtly fantastical like some of his others,
Yeah, it's quite realistic, relatively speaking.
it still has this almost dreamlike kind of surreal quality, especially in how it deals with memory and grief. And that technique, it makes the everyday stuff feel profoundly unsettling sometimes. It really makes you question, what is genuine connection? How do we find authenticity?
And Toru himself is key to that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He's described as just this incredibly well-crafted, relatable guy. His introspection, his emotional vulnerability,
Yeah.
it just draws you right in. You're not just observing, you kind of feel it with him.
Yeah, you really invest in his journey. So wrapping this up then, what's the takeaway for you, the listener?
Well, the review confirms it's just beautifully written. A deeply moving story.
It resonates way beyond the 60s Japan setting. It's really about the complexities of relationships, that search for meaning when the world is just constantly shifting.
And it might be a bit of a slow burn, It's not action-packed.
Right, takes its time. But the review suggests, and I'd agree, the rewards are definitely worth sticking with it.
For sure.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As you think about Toru's very personal search for meaning, for authenticity, back in the upheaval of 1960s Japan, maybe consider how that mirrors our own struggles today, finding our own footing amidst all the constant change we face.
A timeless question.
It really is. We hope this deep dive gave you maybe a new lens through which to see Norwegian Wood.
Or maybe inspires you to pick it up for the first time.
Yeah. And if you enjoyed this, please do like, share, and subscribe. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for tuning in.
And we look forward to having you join us for our next deep dive.